Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to Flamebait Talks. I would like to start off this video by apologizing profusely. I have fallen very far behind on videos. This unfortunately has a lot to do with my work out of here. It takes up a great deal of my time. Unfortunately, and there's very little that I can do about it at the time. It's part of a contract. I end up working probably at the very least around 60 hours a week, and by the time I get home I am extremely tired. And while I would like to devote a lot more time to doing stuff like this with you guys, it is a little bit difficult at the moment. But one day I'm hoping that I can get a different job or scale back to a different position that's a little less intense, and I would be more able to do stuff like this with you all, which is what I would really like to do. So yeah, going into what the episode of Flamebait Talks is going to be about. This time, I would actually like to talk about something a little bit kind of half serious, kind of half also fun, depending on how you look at it. The thing that I want to talk about today is, how do I put it? I guess the things that no one ever really told you to expect when you were thrown out into the world as an adult. This, of course, has to do with the fact that where I am, especially, it is graduation season. Lots of high schools, colleges, and these people are finally going out into the world. Some of them to get careers, some of them to further their education. So I thought I'd just do this kind of little thing to do a couple jabs and hopefully prepare them as best as I can for what is about to happen. The first thing that I would like to bring up is actually something that my husband didn't actually really realize until we got together. We were out for dinner one day, not dinner. We were out for brunch one day, and we got breakfast stuff, and he says, "Oh, I think I'll also like a piece of cheesecake." And our waitress asked the question, "Okay, do you want that now or do you want it after your breakfast?" And he gives her a look. And then he looks at me. And then he looks at her again and he says, "I can do that." And then he looks at me. It's like, is that okay? Do you care if I do that? And I'm like, "You're 22 years old. If you want to have cheesecake before your breakfast, go ahead." And the waitress kind of agreed. She was like, "Yeah, do whatever you want." So he's like, "Yes, this is awesome." So yes, one of the very first things that I want to tell you about becoming an adult is that you can have candy, ice cream, all of that fun stuff for breakfast, dinner, lunch, whatever. You can have a hamburger or a steak or pizza for breakfast if you really wanted it. Having said that, enjoy it while you can, because sometime, not actually far enough away that, or not actually far enough into the future that you would think that you have to worry about it, one day that's going to bite you in the butt. You will continue doing this. Like for me, I was a late night snacker, and I absolutely love cookies. Cookies are life. They are everything. And I decided one night I was going to have chocolate chip cookies before I went to bed. And in the moment they were good. But then as soon as I laid down, something horrible happened. Something called heartburn. I was 27. And I was not expecting that. And I was thinking, okay, well, that's fine. It happens occasionally. No, the very next time that I had a little late night snacky, I get another heartburn. And then again and again. So now it's one of those things like, okay, if I do decide that I absolutely have to have a midnight snack, I have to be one of the people that takes Zantac before I do it, because I know what's going to happen to me. So, yeah, yay for getting older there. You can eat whatever you want, just be prepared for the consequences. The second thing that I want to tell you about, of course, is that you're more than likely going to be entering the workforce in more of a full-time capacity to what you used to be. Having said that, your paychecks are going to be much larger than what you have been used to, and definitely much larger if you're just going from, allowances to the workforce. It's going to look like a lot of money. And, if you don't have anything to worry about, it kind of is. However, if you were out on your own, all of that gets eaten up very, very quickly. You have to buy groceries now. You have to pay for rent. You have to pay for car insurance, gas, water, electric, all kinds of things that come out of nowhere that you never really actually sat down and thought about, oh, I'm going to have to take care of this when I become a full-fledged adult and go out on my own. And no one ever tells you that. Quarters. If by chance you're, in a dorm or even some apartments, quarters are your best friend. They are more than gold because you are going to have to save them and hoard them for laundry day. And that is something that is extremely important. And you're going to look like a crazy person because you're going to have like bags of quarters. And people that, haven't been in the situation or have not had to worry about that for a long time are going to be like, okay, what are you doing with all these bags of change? And then you have to be like, no, you can't take any of those. It's very important. It's for laundry. If you take 75 cents, then I will have a load of laundry that is not dry. So please don't mess my life up. So yeah, that kind of covers the money part of that. The next thing, aside from eating whatever you want, you can stay up as late as you want, and no one is going to say anything to you. However, staying up as late as you want gets old very fast, especially when you're working or when you're going to school, or if you're a sadistic person doing both at the exact same time. You will be in bed by 9 o'clock. And there's nothing you can do about it. That will be the time that you want to go to bed, because you'll be like, you know what? I was at school all day. I just got off of an evening shift at whatever job I'm doing. You know what sounds fantastic? Not a drink. Not going out and partying with my friends. The bed. The bed sounds amazing. The very next thing that I want to talk to you, and this one is a little bit more serious. Friends. Especially people that are getting out of high school. A lot of your friends won't be going to the same school as you. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't remain friends, but you have to accept the reality that you are going to grow apart from some people. And, that's extremely hard. There are friends that I 100% loved, and I don't really talk to them much anymore. And that does make me sad. And I do want to reach out to them, but it's one of those things, like, we're on different schedules. I might shoot them a text and be like, hey, and we might send a couple texts back and forth, but then it's like they have to go to work, or I have to go to work, or kids are doing kid things, and the house is burning down. And it all gets a little displaced as you get older. Having said that, the friends that you do make as adults, I've heard, especially in college, I would also say, like, your coworkers, these people are a different type of friend. It's not someone that you're growing up with. It's someone that has been thrust into a similar situation as you. They have been removed from everything that is familiar, and they need someone in their life just like you. And that creates a different kind of bond, and sometimes it's an even stronger bond. I know that people that my dad has met, before I was even born, just, different hobbies or with different work situations, he's remained friends with my entire life. And, I know that they've been there for a long time for my dad, and that's like the true measure of a friend. So don't get discouraged if you grow apart. That's something that's natural. People do that, and it's okay. It doesn't mean that the friendship is dead. It doesn't mean that you guys don't care about each other anymore. It just means that there's space, and sometimes you can rekindle a friendship, and sometimes you can't. But the point is, you will make new friends. There will be some that are just as strong, if not stronger, than the ones that you are losing. The next thing that I want to talk about is, especially if you're getting out of high school, you have spent probably at least the last 2, but some of you probably the last 4, preparing for what you're going to be doing when you get to college. That stepping stone where you're like, this is what I want to do with my life. No one tells you that you're going to change your mind. Some of you might change your mind quite a few times, and it's okay to change your mind, but you might find that you are in an area of work or study that you would not have even considered earlier on in your high school career, or maybe even your college career. I have to adjust my head, sliding down today. For instance, when I started off going to college, I actually wanted to study history. History has always been a, profoundly interesting thing for me, and it's something that I have always enjoyed and has always been endearing for me. I wanted to be an archaeologist, and I was dead set on that for a very long time. And when I started going to school, I started dating people, and, well, I was dating people before, but this time it was, more serious. And that's when it kind of dawned on me, like, if I became an archaeologist, there would be times when I would be, on an assignment, and I would be away from home for months, maybe longer, and that's not something that I was okay with. I am not a very social person, but I am very much a familial person, And if I have bonded with someone and I consider them part of my family, that's extremely important to me. And these are the people that I want to talk to and spend time with and see. And then if I can't do that, I get extremely anxious, and it's not good for the flame. So I knew that that was something that I couldn't do. You know, I could maybe still pursue history, but I couldn't have done that. I actually ended up taking a completely different turn with all of that. I started studying business management, and you know, I kind of went into the workforce, and you know, I liked throwing parties and I liked making sure that people had a good time. I became a bartender. And then the thing that I wanted to do from there was kind of combine the two. And at some point in my life, I really would like to open my own nightclub. I have a couple concepts that I have notes about, and one day I would really like to see one of them come to fruition. So as you can see, there were a few steps in between there that I didn't cover, but you know, it's a vast jump from one to the other, and you have to let yourself know that that's okay. I know that it might seem like a waste, especially if you're in college and you've done all this study and you realize that credits aren't going to transfer, and that can be super frustrating, but it's okay. You know, it's a learning experience. And part of all of this is trying to figure out who you are, the type of person that you want to be. And that's just as important as everything else. And trust me, you don't want to end up doing something that you're going to hate or regret doing, because that just makes your life in the end miserable. And that's something that no one wants. So it's better to just be able to change your mind than trudge on through and end up doing something that you hate. The next thing that I would want to talk about, we talked about how friendships can be strained, relationships can also be strained, but there's kind of a trade-off here. You're going to be if I'm being real, a lot of, you know, high school relationships, unless you end up going to the same college, they don't usually last the distance. And that's hard, but you have to know that it is something that happens a lot. And, you know, it sucks, but there's nothing wrong with growing apart from someone that you think that you loved, especially when they're not around. And you know, this is a critical juncture in your life. As I said earlier, you might be discovering things that you thought you wanted to do that turns out you don't, and you might be discovering that you are a different person than what you thought you were, and the two of you might not be compatible anymore. Having said that, getting out of high school, going into the workforce, going into college, you start developing more intimate relationships. And that doesn't necessarily mean intimate as in sexual, it means intimate as in an overall thing. There's a lot of information that you have to share with these new people, because they didn't grow up with you. They weren't a part of your life. They didn't go to your school. You know, they're going to be learning literally everything there is about you, and you're going to be learning about them. And there is something that is, you know, precious about that. Something that, you know, you have to share, really share your life with someone else, and they have to share it with you too. So you're graduating to a different kind of relationship as well. More intense, which can be good and can also be bad. Um, for every bit of joy that you will experience, there's also the equal chance that there is going to be sorrow. And that is life. It happens. Just gotta try to make sure that there's more joy than there is sorrow. And if it turns out that there's more sorrow than there is joy, then that's probably not the best relationship, and you should try to figure out something else. The other thing, honestly, this is probably the thing, and I think that is the most important thing that, probably a lot of people never told you. You might have had some good teachers. And when I mean good teachers, I don't mean, they taught you everything by the book the way they were supposed to. I mean good teachers like they had a passion for what they were doing, but they also had a passion for you, the student. You may have had a good teacher that tried to tell you that, you are the future. That's not a pep talk. You are the future. As you get older, you become the next generation that takes the reins in your respective countries. Like in the United States, where I am, I know that not everyone is going to be a mayor or a senator, a representative, a Supreme Court justice, president, any of those. But you do have the ability to vote. And more importantly, and this is something that I feel like Americans have forgotten, you have the right and the privilege to be able to protest. You can affect change. All you have to do is take control. It's not something that is wrong. Our nation, or let me rephrase that, the United States was founded on, protests and revolution. Trying to get people to listen to you when, they wouldn't. And there was a lot of time where, we tried talking, and it didn't work. And, I feel like we're at a juncture in our country where that is something that is happening again. And, it's up to us. I can throw myself in that one because I feel like I'm still young enough that I can be part of that force for change. It's up to us to take control of the situation and effect change in the things that need to be changed and we want to be changed. It's our job, above all others, to make a positive mark for the generations that follow us. And that should be our legacy. Not necessarily what we are doing, what we end up doing, but everything that we're leaving behind. Our families, what we have done to help change the world or make the world a better place, even if it's just something small. You have that power, and that's something that a lot of people will not have told you. And there are even some people that might not want you to know that. But I am telling you because it is true. You have that power, and it is yours. All you have to do is wield it. So, yeah, that's pretty much just been a short little snippet on all of the things that people might not have told you, and you might not have known about going out into this big, scary world as an adult. And it is scary, because a lot of this is going to be new, and it's going to seem a lot harder. It's like, okay, you spend the first 18 years. I'm actually going to use something that someone else actually described. They described life as, you know, a game. You spend the first 18 years in a tutorial, and then it's like someone decides to switch everything, and then you start playing in hard mode. And you're going to spend at least a good 10 years there. It sucks, but we all get through it. We all have gotten through it. I have gotten through it finally, but it did take me about the 10 years. You know, it was a struggle. They don't tell you that it's going to be a struggle, but it was a struggle. You have to struggle every day. Like, okay, I have to budget for all of these things that I have never had to budget before. And all of that money disappears very quickly. And all of that time starts to disappear very quickly, too. So I can tell you that within the first couple years, there was a lot of ramen, because ramen is cheap. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there is a little bit wrong with that because it's not healthy, but, you know, you get through it. And it's going to suck for a while, but you find a groove eventually. Things do get easier. You get better at budgeting. And then one day, without really realizing it, you're going to go to do something, and all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh, wait a second. I actually have more money than what I thought I did. That's never happened before. And you're going to realize that some of the things that you have been trying to take care of also disappear, like, you know, car payments. I say that because they're one of the first things to drop off. I would say student loans next, and then house payments. We are working on car and house. Husband paid off his student loans. Yay! So that's amazing. And, you know, it just takes time. Give yourself time. It does get better. Like I said, it's going to suck for a little bit, but I promise you, it sucked for everyone for a little bit. So it's not some cruel game that anyone is playing on you particularly. It's just people honestly forget. They don't think about it after it's done and over with. Until you get much older, and then it's one of those things like, back in my day, I went to school with no shoes, uphill both ways in a driving blizzard. And my grandpa actually told me that was a lie. He said they had a bus. So it's just one of those things. But yeah, I'm getting myself a little off topic. Also, I'm going to make this a little bit of a shorter video anyways, because underneath this red boy, I am also a very red boy. I was kind of stupid and went outside because it was a very nice sunny day, and I am a very pale thing, and I burned like a crisp, and this is kind of agonizing. So hopefully I will be better. Not the next video. The next video is actually, I guess I would have recorded this not even 24 hours apart. This I recorded the night before, the next video is in the morning, so it's going to be a little painful, but it's quite alright. I did have a request. Someone asked me, because they saw this on Instagram, boyfriend got me a collar. Very nice collar. I do like it. It has a lot of hardware on it, and it's orange, which is very good color. I was requested to wear it for the stream. I tried to put it around Flame's neck here. Aside from it feeling like I was getting my skin ripped off because of the sunburn, it also turns out that with all the fur and the padding, it's a little bit too tight, and I was thinking that it might cause a little bit more problem. So I do want to apologize for not being able to wear it. Whenever someone wants to make a request, I'm going to do my best to try to do it. Because, you know, you guys all mean a lot to me, and, you know, I want to keep you guys happy. And the best way to do that is to, you know, cater to what you guys want. So, yeah. Sorry that I couldn't do that, but here it is. I did want to at least make it an appearance in the video. Oh, my nose. My face is not cooperating today. Okay. Alright. Well, as I have said before, this has been Flamebait Talks. I, of course, do appreciate you stopping in and watching. I know this video was a little bit more convoluted than usual. That's because of the sunburn, and I'm rushing, and I do apologize. I do hope the next one will be slightly better, and I hope that after all of this, I will be back on a normal schedule for YouTube videos. So yeah. Alright, well, I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate your views. If you want, you can give me a subscribe and a like. Don't know if I'm worthy of either of those, but sure. Also, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, which will appear at the end of this video. Alright, so that's all for today. Love you all. Hope you have a good one, and I will see you around. Bye!